Hello, Casey here. I wanted to share a little bit more about this Casey HiLites Pro6 7 6-inch ring LED light bar mounted to my Aluminess roof rack, as you can see in these photos here. I wanted more light to be able to go project down the dirt roads and also the fairly remote highways that I do travel on fairly, to highlight any wildlife that may be on the side of the roads or down the road, to make sure I'm aware of it and I can avoid any of that wildlife. Just see any kind of curves that may be in the road or bumps or rocks that are in those dirt roads I'm traveling down. And you can see here is how I mounted it. It does weigh about 30 pounds, and so it's a little bit tricky getting it up there, especially by one person, as I did it. And so I pre-drilled a couple of holes and used Casey HiLites bump stops, which are typically mounted in the middle areas, which I used 2 of them, but instead I took the rubber off of those and I bolted straight into the front of this Aluminess roof rack. That gave a very secure mount. And I don't have it mounted on the sides, as you can see here, but it gives me a lot of good light projection going forward, down the road. This is the Casey HiLites bump stop that I use. I just took that rubber bump off the bottom. And that light switch up at the top there, Blue Seas light switch right here with that actual light on, is what I use to turn those on. And because you're probably wondering how I got the wiring up to the roof, I actually run it down through from that light switch in the headliner down alongside the roof of the van, and then up into this singular roof grommet, wiring grommet on the roof, which has a single large pass-through. And that large pass-through, I have my lights that go off to each side that are switched separately. These lights in the front, as well as some rear reverse lights that I have also switched separately. My solar panel, positive and negative, comes into there, as well as also I have a powered awning and lights for my awning, and those all come up in there. Because this front light is a larger amperage, I actually use this switch in the headliner here to power a relay, which runs back to just below where this roof grommet is, and that actually triggers the relay to then take the power from back there. So it's a very short wiring run, and then once it's on the roof, it just runs alongside the bottom of the roof rack, up alongside that front bump out on the roof rack into the lights. So it's a very clean setup. This roof grommet here is actually underneath my solar panel. So not only is it bolted down with one big conduit lock nut, but then also with Sikaflex to seal it around there. But it's a waterproof roof grommet, and each one of those wire entries is also a waterproof gland. And not only that, but it's underneath the roof, the solar panel, so it also keeps any snow or rain off of it. So it's in a very protected place. I've not had a single leak in any way from anything in my van, and this has worked out really well to get all my wiring up to the roof. So I'll now go into the installation. Okay, Casey here. We got the Pro6 7 ring Casey HiLites lights set up. These are LED. It's on this this Aluminess roof rack, and I actually started with a 9-ring Pro6 setup, and it completely filled out that space, which was what I wanted and thinking would look good. But I also wanted a little bit of a curve with the Pro6s, and I was able to get that exchange with Casey HiLites for a 7-ring, and they were kind of obliged to accommodate that. Anyways, I got the 7-ring up there. Maybe the 8-ring would have filled it out a little nicer, but I'd already drilled the holes using 2 of their center mount bump stops into my Aluminess roof rack. With an 8-ring, obviously it would have been a little awkward with 2 of those bump stops. Like, where do you mount them, right? Since it really works best with an odd number versus an even number. And so those are drilled in. They're directly mounted up. They're not mounted the ends as typical is mounted with the end mounts. You might be able to see on this, I left those in just because it gave a little more of a kind of a nicer profile or dynamic profile instead of the little kind of more of a hinge look on the ends where those bolts go through and that end mount connects to. So it's got a nice smooth profile there. In this setup here, I have the 2 ends curved. So basically the 4 on each of the ends are curved. The 3 in the center are straight.
I could have done all of them straight because the Aluminess Roof Rack is straight all the way across the front, and that would have pushed them a little more flat and flush up against the front of that Aluminess Roof Rack. But I wanted to also kind of just curve them out a little bit to get a little more peripheral light. One of the challenges in installing these is just how much do you angle them downward. So do you really want to angle the way down so they're really kind of filling in where your headlights are also filling in, or a little bit further out, or way further out? I decided to kind of go more in the middle, fairly low down, not too far out. I don't want to blind people way out there if I have them on and somebody comes around a corner, if I'm using them on the road, or even on a dirt road, and or someone's campsite. I want to be able to fill in just kind of what I'm seeing in front. I'm not racing, I'm not doing Baja racing, I'm not flying down a dirt road at 90 miles an hour. I'm just going down a dirt road at maybe 20 miles an hour. So I don't need to see terribly far out. I want to fill in the light that the headlights provide, get a little bit further out, fill in some of those shadows from just beyond the headlights. So this hopefully will accommodate that. I'll test them out at night and try them out. Maybe provide a future update video on that. But they mounted up really nice. They're incredibly strong and tight on there. I'll hop up X right now and just kind of wiggle them so you can see, or try to wiggle them so you can see, and I'll turn them on here for you as well. So, in case you can see this, I am trying to move them. The whole roof rack is moving with these, so they're not really moving at all. All right, now I'm going to turn these on for you. So there you go. That's the HiLites Pro6 7-ring light bar. Looking really great. Can't wait to try them out at night.
And here's what they look like at night. That's headlights on, and there is the added on the LED light bar, and back to headlights. And then this is the LED light bar at night. You can see that big circular light out there, far out there. The headlights are just filling in the short distance. And here you can see how much brighter with the LED light bar it is, illuminating up that big area in front of both my van as well as this other van again. And you can get a comparison of how much brighter it is compared to the Vanagon's improved aftermarket headlights and also the Sprinter's HID headlights. So it gives you a great idea just how much more light it adds, and it's really quite a wonderful addition. I've also since have added a smaller LED light bar within the bumper for up close, more rock crawling or technical terrain, or also when using the winch. And I'll provide another video update with that more later. Thanks so much. Feel free to reach out in the comments if you have any questions, and certainly subscribe if you'd like to see my video on my hidden winch bumper that I installed with that light, as well as many other van upgrades and improvements I made, and some of my some of my most favorite improvements I've made to the van in my conversion. Thanks much. Enjoy.